why did you initially decide to do this anthology? How did it? What was the spark that make it come into being?
As with many things, it was an accident it was a sort of railroad accident. Jim can explain.
A railroad accident?
It was a chance encounter on a train.
These are science fiction stories to the core, you know, and in that sense they're conventional, easily recognized as the real thing. Maybe a different flavor, different spin.
Well, here's the question then: do you think these stories are accessible to a general fiction reader in the U.S.?
Yes, that was
Despite
part of our idea.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
that was part. That's really what I was trying to. That's a better way of expressing what I was trying to say. What we were trying to do that was a little different.
We had a very simple translation of the text, probably word to word, with some friends of mine in Greece, and then this went to the Morrows, and then there was a lot of emails coming back and forth. It was like this is not a very clear part for the American audience, and this is not a very clear part even for us, because we don't understand what exactly you want to say. And this was a really funny and also interesting work. I mean, first they liked the story, and then we had to work the story again. So this today I think that this is not exactly my Greek story. It's an English story. It's an English. It's not an English written story. It's an English told story. So it is something like the twin little brother of my Greek story. It's something that I can consider it as a unique piece of work now.
Having done this anthology, what do you feel are some of the unique qualities of science fiction in non-English speaking Europe, maybe even as exemplified by the stories in the anthology? Is there a theme or something else like that?
It's difficult to put your finger on, difficult to articulate, but the sensibility is different. You'll find in the SFWA European Hall of Fame an enthusiasm for surrealism, absurdity, a political sensibility that I think is darker and harsher than what occurs on the American shore. You can make the argument that for the European writer, totalitarian societies and projects of extermination and wars on a continental scale are actually in their not immediate experience, but in their immediate history.
The old line about the golden age of science fiction is 12, and I think David Hartwell might have originated that one, or at least he picked it up. I would say the golden age of these stories is more like 21. Not because they're explicit, because there's a kind of adult sensibility that is completely accessible to anyone. But it's, and a lot of the stories are traditionally, fall into a traditional science fiction mold. But when you read them, you say, yes, but it's just a little different. It's that the flavor is just a little different, and there's quite a variety of stuff too.
And also, one thing you notice that I've noticed recently, having sat down and read the anthologies, just to do the editing, is that
with some distance.
There's also, I would say, in the European sensibility, a certain romanticism, a lot, sort of the opposite of what we might think of as,
Yeah.
Woody Allen's famous line, in the movie Deconstructing Harry, where his sister said to him, you care only about cynicism, sarcasm, and orgasm. And the Woody Allen character says, in France I could run on that platform and get elected. But the flip side of the cynicism is there's a romanticism in many of these stories. It's just an affirmation of a man being in love with his wife, is on stage in a couple of these stories,
Yeah.
And you don't find that, Americans, I think, would regard that as a sentimental trope to be avoided.
That's what was I really liked in this anthology, working with Morrows in this particular part, that it had to make this translation available to an audience that I really have nothing common with. I've never been in America. I only met American people on holidays or something like that. I cannot really understand the way Americans think or what they want from a story.
It's interesting that you speak of the cultural imperialism. What we kept hearing, particularly at Utopial at this festival, is that the European writers have started, or used to, before our anthology came out, they've always tried to slant what they produce toward their perception or their understanding of the American market, putting in, naming the characters with American-sounding names and using American locations in their stories. And we sort of made it clear to all the potential contributors, no, for us that's a dead end. We want the cachet, the exoticism, if you will, of the European settings. And they understood that.
Translated back into Greek now, it would be a different story in some ways.
Yes, if you were translating that text to Greek, it wouldn't be the same like the one I've published in Greek.